Welcome to this edition of The Tax Lawyer. I am Scott Drake with my guest, San Francisco tax lawyer with Wood LLP, Robert Wood. Today we're talking about your pets, believe it or not. And there are ways, as he writes in Forbes, that you can claim them as dependents. Welcome back, Rob.
Thanks.
Never heard of this, never even thought about that, but there are several deductions that you can take regarding pets. And in your article, you talk about business expenses and service animals and even moving expenses. Can you elaborate some there, Rob?
Sure. I mean, I think I probably should be criticized for the title because it's not really claiming them as dependents. Although, as I point out, I mean, there have been bills, unsuccessful, I should say, bills that in Congress, including a year or two ago, that would allow people to claim pets as dependents. So I guess until we have that, what I try to do is review a couple of possibilities that might get you a little in the way of deductions. One, or adjustments. One is moving expenses. I mean, if you have a family move or something like that, and you have pet moving expenses, and sometimes these days those might be. I know my dog is pampered. They might be, not insignificant fees. Those can be claimed as moving expenses. Business deductions, that's a little tougher, but if you have a business where you have, a mascot or much more likely a sort of security type arrangement, often this is done with professional, so that if you have a professional services, so that if you have a warehouse and you have a guard service and they bring in, a canine patrols or something, that's all deductible. People have taken that sort of to another level to say, well, gee, why should I pay a service to bring in, animals and to guard the warehouse at night? I have, trusty Rin Tin Tin here, and he can stay, and, we're going to deduct his food and vet bills. And I think in a business context, there's a lot of that one can legitimately do, provided that it's real. Service animals, there are special tax rules there for treating those costs as medical expenses, and there's some IRS publications that I linked to in the article about that subject. And finally, even in the context of estates, there are some cases where people have needed to care for animals in the context of estates, either because of the security kinds of points I mentioned, guard dogs and that sort of thing. Two, maybe more likely these days would be the need to care for some kind of a pampered pet. So if, as part of the estate administration expenses, if Leona Helmsley leaves $12 million to her dog, I think his name was Trouble, or is Trouble, I'm assuming he's still alive and well, that estate expenses for someone caring for the animal while they figure out how to administer the estate and that kind of thing are perfectly legitimate expenses. So until we have dependents, our animals in some sense are all dependents, but until we can claim them as such, there are a few other things you might do that could net some tax benefits.
Well, this has been very useful, Rob.
I know you have a pet Wolverine. I don't know, Scott, if that works.
He's not really a pet anymore. He kind of ran away. Can I count that as a loss?
Possibly. It sounds like probably a very expensive animal.
All right. Well, Rob is with Wood LLP in San Francisco. You know him, you love him as the tax lawyer on Forbes and other publications. Rob, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching the Legal Broadcast Network.